Hi everyone. I've been talking to quite a few people this week, and I know a lot of you getting your grades back from university. And this is a time that you really need to reflect a bit. You need to reflect on how you're doing, how you can improve, and say this. Remember that university is a journey. And on a journey, sometimes you're going to have ups and sometimes you're going to have downs. Sometimes you'll get grades back that are really high. Sometimes you might get grades back that are a bit lower than what you were expecting. And you might be a little bit disappointed. But the thing is, because university is a journey, you should be learning all the time. So now that you have your grades back from the last semester, take some time to think about your grades and to think about what does that show you about yourself and how you're doing at university. This video is going to go through what to do when you get your grades, how to choose courses, how to study in class, how to prepare for exams. Hopefully it's going to be useful for you. So try and watch, and if you have any questions or you want to talk about anything at all, you can always get in touch with me. So in this video, we're going to think about your grades, what happens when you get your grades, what should you be doing, what should you be thinking about, how do you choose your subjects for the next semester, and then when the semester starts, how to get started, how to approach the learning, how to prepare for the exams, and then finally some little thoughts about online setting because many people are having to do online learning right now. So reflecting on your grades. You just got your grades back and what are you going to do now? Well, the first question to ask yourself is, are you satisfied? Do you think that your grades reflect your ability? Are your grades higher than what you thought you would get? Are they lower than what you thought you would get? Or are they about what you were expecting? If the grades are better than what you thought you were going to get, you need to be asking yourself, why? What did I do last semester that helped me to be successful? And how can I copy what I did last semester into the future courses? What study habits did I have? What lifestyle choices did I make that helped me to be successful? At the same time, if your grades are lower than what you wanted, you can ask yourself, well, what did I learn about myself from these courses? What habits do I have that maybe I need to change? What style of learning am I doing now? And how could I use different styles of learning? You can think about what type of subjects are you strong in and weak in. Most courses have a range of subjects. Some have more practical, some are more theoretical based. And when we start to look at the next slide about choosing your courses, this is very important. You need to know which subjects you are strong in and which subjects you're weak in. You need to be able to plan which subjects to give more time to and which ones that you don't need to worry about quite as much. You should also be asking yourself, if you're a second year or third year student, are you leaning too much on your CGPA? Did you get really high marks in first year and then you see your marks coming down a little bit in second year and third year? Maybe you still have a very high CGPA, but you notice that your GPA each semester is not as high as it used to be. If that's you, then maybe this is the time that you have to decide to make some changes. And if you're making changes, you need to think about your priorities. We have to have a balance in life. We have to go to school, we have to study, but we also have to enjoy ourselves as well. When we get these things in balance, then everything's going to be successful. So we should have hobbies. You should have hobbies. There should be something that you like to do that is not part of your university. But if you give too much time for those hobbies and not enough time for your studies, then your GPA is going to be going down and you're not making the most of this great opportunity that you have at university. So ask yourself honestly, do your priorities, do your habits need to change? For example, do you play two different types of sport? Do you play football and caneball? And if you see your GPA going down, maybe you need to choose that you will do one of these, but not both of these. so that the time that you save, you can give extra time to your studies. Whatever it is, make sure you have balance in your life. If you only study all day, every day, then you're going to get tired, you're going to get burnt out. You're not going to have the energy to finish your degree. You need to have some hobbies, some interests outside of your university. But if you put too much effort into this, if you game too much, if you spend too much time watching movies, if you spend too much time talking to boyfriends and girlfriends, then you're not going to put enough time into your studies. So make sure you have balance. Give time for relationships. Give time for your hobbies. And give time for your studies. And if you're doing a lot of studies online at the moment, as many universities can't have face-to-face classes, if your GPA is not as high when you study online as it used to be when you went to university, maybe you need to think about what strategies you can use to improve the way that you study online. So choosing your subjects. I don't know if this applies to you. It applies to some students, but not every student. In some universities, you have choices. You have electives. You have the core subjects that everybody in your major has to take, but then they give you a choice. Normally it's called a free elective, something that you can choose to do because you want to do. Especially in second year, third year, and fourth year, you often get one free elective every semester. So how do we choose those electives? Well, firstly, you need to think about what courses you will study later. If there's any prerequisites, courses that you need to finish, then make sure you study those early on in your university. Secondly, ask yourself, how many courses do you need to take? Sometimes you might be able to take extra courses in first year or second year, so that when you get to third year and fourth year, you might already have extra credits. And so you might be able to study less subjects when the courses get more difficult. Ask yourself, the courses that you have to take, your core courses, do you think you're going to find them easy or difficult? You might think, for example, that this semester you have many teachers that are very harsh markers. You might have lots of teachers that give a lot of reading, or the assignments might be very long assignments that you're going to have to give a lot of time to. So if you have difficult core subjects, try to choose an elective that you think will be easy. Also, think about which courses can you get an A or a B plus in. Now, it's really important that you study electives that you're going to enjoy, that you're going to find useful. But also, let's be smart. Scholarship providers, your university, your future employers, and if you want to do higher education, your future universities are going to be looking at your GPA. So if you think the courses in this semester are going to be difficult, or if you think your CGPA is getting a little bit lower, think about electives that are going to boost up your GPA. Some of you, for example, are very strong at Thai language. You may have studied at CDC or Satulay or other places. So if you know that you are very strong at Thai language, if you have the option, take an extra Thai language course that you might be able to get an A or a B plus in. If you're very good at English, maybe you have an English for the workplace, an English for careers option that you can take. Again, take that course. This might be able to boost up your GPA. Also think about what subjects you were strong in the last semester, or in first year, second year, if you are later on in your university life. Think about the subjects that you are strong in. Think about, as we said before, whether you're good at practical subjects or more theoretical subjects. Find courses that match your skills. Make sure that you're choosing courses that you're going to get higher grades in. Now, you don't have many free electives. Most of the courses that you have to study are chosen for you by the university. So when you do get this bonus of a free elective, use it wisely. Choose courses that will boost your GPA, that will help you in your future, and that you find interesting. It's new semester. You've got your timetable. Maybe you've been to all the classes for the first week. Let's get started and let's think about how we're going to boost the grades, how you're going to study more effectively. So what are we going to do? Well, firstly, we need to think about how many credit hours each subject is worth. This might be a strange concept for some of you that are new at university, but not all subjects are equal. Sometimes a subject might be just 1 credit hour. Most subjects are 3 credit hours, but occasionally you get a subject that's 4 credit hours. And what this means is that if a subject is only worth 1 credit hour, your grade is multiplied by 1 when they're calculating your average. If it's a 3 credit hour subject, then that grade for that course will be multiplied by 3. And if it's a 4 credit hour subject, it's going to be multiplied by 4. So the subjects that are worth more credit hours, you need to give more time to. You don't want to give a lot of time to a 1 credit hour subject, because that means you'll have less time to give to the other subjects. And I've seen this happen quite a few times when students start at university. They think all subjects are equal and they spend almost equal time on every subject, but then they realize at the end that one of the subjects was just a simple pass or fail, and it wasn't even used in their GPA. This happens especially at places like APIU, where they have character, or MFU, where they have the MFU character course. So make sure you know how many credit hours each subject is worth and give the right amount of time to each subject. Secondly, make sure you know how each exam will be assessed. For some courses, it's 50% midterm, 50% final. And some courses, they will not look at the first half of the course again after the midterm. For other courses, the final exam will include questions from the whole of the semester. For some courses, there will be lots of small weekly assignments. Each one might be worth 1% or 2% of your final grade. And I know that sometimes students struggle to be motivated every week when there's just 1% or 2% for a piece of work. But think about it this way. Sometimes you get 59% for your grade, and you know that 59% is a D+. 60% is a C. 1% can change your grade by a lot. So if you have lots of assignments that are worth 1%, 2%, 3%, when you add all of these together, you might get about 30% of your marks. And this can be a huge chunk of your final grade. So make sure you do your best. In every assignment that you're given, do your best. Some teachers, they will give marks for participation and attendance. Make sure you're going to every class. Make sure that your hobbies don't get in the way of you going to classes. Make sure you know how your courses will be assessed. And that means that from the very beginning of the semester, you can start planning for how you're going to pass these final exams. Think about also which courses will have more reading, which courses are going to be more difficult. Make a schedule. Now, I had one student at university a few years ago now, and his strategy was choosing 1 or 2 courses every semester that he planned to get an A in. And he said, if you can get 1 or 2 A's in every semester, and he doesn't get anything lower than a C+, he believed his average would be at least a B, at least a 3.0. I think that's a good challenge. I think every semester when you start, you should be thinking, which courses am I really going to put some effort in to try and get an A? And which courses do I find really difficult that I need to give extra time to make sure that I don't get below a C+? This comes into making your schedule. Think about when your classes are. Think about when group assignments are. Think about when your hobbies are as well. But make a schedule and then try to keep to it. Just like when you go to school, you have a school timetable. Now you're at university, you're independent. You're doing this by yourself. But having a timetable, having a schedule will help you to spend more time, and it will help you to spend your time effectively in the areas that you are either weak in or the areas that you really want to prioritize to try and get those A's to keep your GPA high. Think about learning strategies. How can we approach lessons? So print out the notes, whether it's the start of the week or whether it's a couple of days before class, print out the lesson notes, print out the PowerPoint. If you have a textbook, print it out at the start of the semester. I don't know about you, but I'll tell you about me. I don't like to read on a computer. I can't write. If I read on a computer, it goes in here and it comes out again very quickly. I like to write what I'm reading. So I like to have a physical piece of paper. I can underline things that I think are important. Sometimes I use color to separate different sections. I can look up vocabulary that I'm not too sure about and write notes down the side. And by doing that, I'm processing the information more. It's not just going in my eyes and going around my brain, but it's going into my eyes, it goes around my brain, and then different parts of my brain are telling my hands to start moving, to start writing other things down. This is called processing. And when your brain processes information through different areas, it gets reinforced. It goes deeper into your brain. And don't be worried about the cost of printing things out. You only have one chance at university. Make the best of your chance. So spend some money, print out the lesson notes, print out the course notes, print out the textbooks. Make sure that you have physical things that you can read and follow for your classes. The second thing is, the day before your lesson, try and read whatever the teacher is going to be teaching. If they've given you the PowerPoint, try and read all of the PowerPoint. If there are course notes, read that. If there's a textbook chapter, read that. And when you're reading it, try and mark the areas that you think are very difficult to understand. Because that means that when the teacher's teaching in class and they get to those areas, you can pay extra attention to make sure that you really understand those areas that you found difficult the day before. And when you're in class, make notes. Write down the important things that the teacher says. Write down explanations of the vocabulary. And try different ways. Some people, they learn best by making little pictures to explain what's happening in the text. Other people, they like to write abbreviations, just a few letters or a few words. Some people, they want to write sentences, but in class, writing sentences is not easy. So find a way that works for you so that in class you can make notes. But again, take what you've printed out with you so that you can put your notes around the PowerPoint and around the course textbook. And then the day after. The day after, try to summarize your notes into bullet points. See, this is a 3-day strategy. The day before, you are pre-learning. You are preparing yourself for what the teacher is going to teach. Then on the day of the class, you pay attention and you write down notes to help you understand the difficult things, the difficult points of that lesson. And then the next day, or 2 days later even, you go back to your notes and you make sure that you can remember what the teacher was saying. And again, you process this information by changing the format into bullet points. And you can do that on Microsoft Word. And that means that when you come closer to your exam, you can go back to your bullet points, you can read through your bullet points, and that's going to help you to remember the main points of what the teacher was saying. And some teachers might even give you hints, like this section is really, really important. And if they say something like that, it probably means it's going to be coming up in your exam. So put stars next to the things that your teachers say are very important. And if there are sections that your teacher goes through very quickly, it might mean that your teacher does not think these are very important. So you can get hints about what's going to be in the exam by listening to what your teacher focuses on. So try and do different ways of taking notes. Try and do different approaches. This is my approach. I try to learn before the class, in class, and after class to make sure that all the ideas are really reinforced in my mind. But for you, try different things and work out what works best for you. So preparing for exams. Does the teacher give you any hints about the topics? Did they tell you these things are very important, you should focus on these chapters for the exams? If they did, then do what the teacher said. The teacher is making your exam, they know exactly what's going to be in it. And many teachers do try and help you focus your attention on some areas. Sometimes you might have a course handbook as well that will show the format of the exam. For example, will it be a multiple choice exam? Will you have to write an essay in the exam? Sometimes as you go through university, you might find that you had that teacher teach you before. If so, what was the style of their exam? Was it multiple choice? Was it essay? Was it mostly knowledge based on the textbook? The things that you had to remember? Details? Or was it more critical thinking? Did you have to give your opinions and give reasons? Think about the teachers, because the teachers generally use the same style of exams for all the courses that they teach. Think about midterms. If you've done your midterms already, what type of questions did the teacher ask? How closely did the questions follow the textbook? Did the questions go mostly from the extended reading, or were they mostly from the core text? Once you've done the midterm, you can start to plan for the final exam by thinking about the style of question and where the information was coming from. And, of course, review all the notes that you made. If you're doing the 3-day approach, if you're making notes in class and then you're reviewing your notes and summarizing those notes after class, then you have a lot of things that you can read. And make sure that you've followed all of the reading outline that the teacher's given you. I know many teachers have complained that students don't read everything that they're told to read. Sometimes they just stay with the core textbook, but they don't go to the extended reading list. Some teachers will give you most of your questions from that core textbook, but many teachers will be taking the questions from the extended reading list because they want to see, did the students follow the instructions? Did the students really try hard? So make sure that your notes don't only come from the lecture and don't only come from the core textbook. Make sure that you are following the outline of the course and doing the extended reading that you're told to do. Lastly, we're going to think quickly about online setting. So where do you work well? I see many students when they do online classes, they want to study in bed. Especially at this time of year when it's really cold, people want to stay in bed because they're quite warm. But I had an experience like this when I was in the UK. I also wanted to study in bed because it was very cold. But I know that when I studied in bed, I was more likely to go back to sleep. And I was also less likely to remember what I read the next day. So make yourself get up. Find a table, find a desk somewhere, and go and work at your table and work at your desk. Think about where it is quiet, where there are less distractions, so that you can focus on what you're doing. And of course, make a schedule and keep to it. Not just for the Teams classes and the Zooms classes, but make a schedule for when you're going to study. Now, it's so much more difficult when you're doing online learning, especially if you're online and you have many friends around you that have classes at different times. You're going to be tempted to spend time with your friends, but make a schedule. Say what hours you're going to be studying, what hours you have your lectures, what hours you're going to be doing assignments or the extended reading, and of course, what hours you're going to spend on your hobbies and seeing people that you like. Now, hopefully, if your grades are low and you're a bit disappointed right now, this is going to help you to improve. And if your grades are quite strong right now, well, you can always keep striving to get better and better. University is a great time. You have an amazing opportunity right now. Use this opportunity. Get as much knowledge and as many skills as you can. Make relationships with people so that you are prepared to come back to your communities and use all that you've learned for the benefit of your people. Good luck, everybody. And if you need any help, if you've got any questions at all, you can always get in touch with me.